Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over a pretty entertaining article titled, How Much Longer Will Men Be Able to Date Younger Women? I have some bad news for middle-aged men. And a big shout out to Rich for sending me this article. And guys, this article is written by a woman. She is, I believe, 48 years old, or definitely in her late 40s. And essentially, she's making the case based on her experience in her own dating life, as well as I think she's observed, not all biased, of course, that essentially men's days are up that want to date younger women. Because essentially, women have changed in the sense that they no longer need or want a man that has resources or money or status or anything like that, because now they make their own money and therefore they don't need an older guy that can have those types of things. And men no longer are attracted to younger women because they like the older women because they're more mature, blah, blah, blah. So if you want to take a moment to pause the video and laugh out loud and get out of your system, go right ahead and I'll continue. But essentially, complete nonsense. Now, I will acknowledge a few things where I could probably see where she's coming from, but I could then shoot that down as to why she may say that in general. But I'm sure you guys are well aware, and I'm sure you've heard this many times through women that you've known in your personal lives, whether it's women that are in your family, women that you're friends with, that are you are coworkers, acquaintances, tend to get a little pissed off about men dating younger women. Okay, particularly the gals that decide to put off relationships and marriage and serious things in their 20s and 30s, and then by their late 30s or 40s, then they're looking to settle down. And they get mad that the guys in their age range don't want to date them. They want the younger gals, but obviously that have some sense of maturity and all that. I'm sure you've all heard it. And I'm sure you guys have heard articles I've done on occasion where women get angry that guys are dating younger women. Because at the end of the day, that's male's nature, our nature. We're attracted to what we see, visual creatures, and she could have all these great things in the world, but it doesn't make a difference if we're not physically attracted to her. And with a younger gal, tighter body, youth, fertility, all those different things you can throw into the mix what men are drawn to. On the other hand, women have always been drawn to men with resources, with wealth, with status, maturity, confidence. And I have never known a woman that wasn't attracted to a older man that has his shit together. I mean old man. I'm not talking about guys 90 years old. The young gals that go for guys that old or that big a age difference, it's for one thing and one thing only, and they know it, and the old guy knows it. But they both get something out of that business deal. But she's making the case that things have changed. Now, let me tell you something here. You're going to see in her story and what she's talking about that she dates all these younger guys. And they like her, she likes them. Who are the types of guys that are drawn to older women? Usually guys that have a few common traits. Number one, they probably grew up in households where their mom was dominant and ran the show. So that's what they're used to. Two, they're men that are more in touch with their feminine side, or more beta, if you will. They don't want to lead the relationship. They want to be led. Okay? They're attracted to those types. And you have more women out there like that nowadays because thanks to the feminist movement. And you have more soft guys out there thanks to the feminist movement. Also, women that are more in their masculine, they want to take charge, they want to run the relationship, and they're not going to be with a guy that's an alpha that wants to run the show. They're going to attract into their lives, because they're dominant personalities, a more soft guy that's going to follow them. And the masculine women want those types of guys. And so, but when you have more of that out there, that's what you see. So you can see where this comes from. Now, I know I'm going on here, but I had to establish these few things before I start the thing. So I'm going to go through this thing here, guys. I'm going to point these things out along the way because it's pretty entertaining. Because at the end of the day, I don't care what anybody says. Human nature is human nature. Both men and women are attracted to what they attract to, despite temporary, I hope, changes in the mindset and things because of movements like feminism and all that. So it starts off, she says, the last man I dated was 4.5 years younger than me. I'm 48 and he's 43. This is the biggest age gap I've experienced in which I was the oldest person. However, every man I've dated, meaning we saw each other for a few months since my divorce, has been younger than me, save the one who lied to me, and I later found out that he was older. This is new to me. After my first marriage, every single man I dated was older than me. I was in my early 30s back then and fresh out of a marriage with a man 7 years my senior. Something clearly has shifted. It makes sense that the playing field in older, younger relationships is becoming increasingly populated with women dating younger men. The older man, younger woman scenario just doesn't seem relevant anymore. There are reasons it's slowly becoming obsolete. Obsolete, you're out of your damn mind. Now, notice she's saying dating. There's a world difference between a young guy. Trust me, there are plenty of young guys out there that are college age, early 20s, really, maybe let's just say in their most fit stage in their lives, that would happily hook up with an older woman, late 30s, or even early 40s, if she's damn good looking for her age and damn good looking body for her age, because you can get ones of those age ranges that have damn good looking for their age. And they figure it's a fun little conquest, and and she's definitely got more experience as long as they're careful. A lot of guys would do that. And there's a lot of women also that would go for that too, because they get a young guy, he's full of energy, he's got a tight stomach and all that, because let's be honest, most guys after 25 start to let themselves go big time, especially in our society. So both parties are happy, but it's dating. But I'm talking about relationships. She says here, historical reasons for older men and younger women no longer apply. In the past, men marrying a woman younger than them was a matter of either convenience or necessity. 50 years ago, women had far fewer job options, and those jobs did not particularly pay well. Many women didn't even work outside of the home. Only 43% of women over the age of 20 were in the workforce in 1972. That number is now 58%. This means that women now are far less financially dependent on men. And before that number alarms you, only 70% of men over 20s are in the workforce. As the wage gap narrows and more women are recruited into higher paying jobs, that the need to find a spouse to support or supplement our lives has dwindled. In 1972, women made up 57% of what men did, as opposed to 82% going into 2022. I beg to differ on that, but that's a topic for another day. What this means is the age-old trump card older men held that they can provide financial security does not apply. Yes, in today's world, you have plenty of women, and I know plenty myself, that do darn well. They've worked hard and worked smart, and they've gotten themselves good jobs, good positions in companies. I'm not positions, no pun intended, to get that job, making darn good money. Okay, and they can take care of themselves, and yeah, but still, guess what? They still want a guy, and they still want a guy, the feminine ones, that does better than them. I've done stories about this where literally, I remember one last summer where a gal was making like $200,000 a year or something like that, and her guy was making $130,000, and he wasn't good enough for her. He caught her on her phone telling her friend he wasn't good enough for her. Why? Because he didn't think he was making a lot of money, even though she's making that kind of dough. They want feminine women, and particularly nowadays, they want a guy that still does better than them and has status, because that makes them look good. But a guy that makes equal to what they make, that's just settling. And a guy that actually makes less than them, even if it's good, that's not good enough. So I don't want to hear if they make a lot of money, then therefore they don't need a guy that makes as much. It's bullshit. Come on here. The only ones that truly may not care if what the dude makes or his position, like they don't want a guy doesn't have a job, but they make more and don't care, are usually the masculine ones, the ones that want to be in charge, the ones that want to lead the relationship. Those types don't care. And guys that obviously aren't go-getters, aren't very ambitious, more beta, they'll be drawn to those women because, like the mother, like the mommy, she'll run the show. But in terms of like saying that's the masses, that's bullshit. It says here, younger generations of men are getting their shit together. She says, I'm a card-carrying member of Generation X. We grew up before having a therapist was normalized. Millennials and Generation Z have grown up with a certain sense of acceptance that being in tune with your emotions is a good thing. Generation X men were told that being sensitive or emotional made them sissies. Younger men care far less about that BS. Yeah, the Generation Z and Millennial era, we're raised in this way to be sensitive and soft and open with their feelings and all that. And as any wonder, we have a generation, this is not all you guys, but it's a lot out there, that are more in touch with their feminine side. They're more feminine. The women have been conditioned to be more masculine and take charge and act like a bunch of G.I. Joe women. Everything's all out of whack. The men are attracted to the women are attracted to the men. You got women saying, where are the real men? Because the men act like, as you say here, sissies. So yeah, and so these more soft guys are going to be more attracted to dominant, masculine, take charge women. And there you go. Goes on, says here, not fixing your shit is not attractive quality anymore. Couple that with the fact that your shit, when not fixed, compounds. So your unresolved issues generate into even more issues. The older you get, the more time there is for the cycle to spin. I'm all for people having their shit together, but there's a difference between having your shit together and acting soft and emotional and essentially a man acting like a very sensitive woman. He says, here's what it looks like. The 50-year-old man who has worked his whole life to be financially attracted to women, who has unresolved issues that he does not want to address, runs the risk of decreasing attractiveness. Women are no longer concerned about a man's money. We want emotional availability. Of course, I'm not sure that statement may infuriate many middle-aged men. To that, I say, welcome to the being told you are less desirable than the older you get club. We meet on Thursdays via Zoom. Yeah, well, here's the deal. At the end of the day, the old joke, men age like Sean Connery and women age like Sean Connery. Women still find many more percentage of younger women find an older man attractive if he actually takes care of himself versus the percentage of men that find an older woman attractive. It's just a different ballgame. Women like the silver foxes, the refined guy that, yeah, he's older. Yeah, he's in his mid-50s, late 50s, but he takes care of himself. He's not, he dresses well and all that, and he's way older than them, but they find him attractive. How do I know? I've talked to plenty of women in their 20s and 30s that look at these dudes in their 50s, and they think they're freaking hot, So compared to guys, that look at women in the same age range. Now, again, I'm not saying you can't have darn good-looking gals, 40s and 50s. Really, I've seen it, but it's not the same. And at the end of the day, we're attracted to looks and body types and faces and all that. It's great. Somebody has to have a great personality and be fun and cool to hang out with. But if they don't do it first in the looks department, it ain't going to work. And women are drawn to guys that have resources, do well and all that. And that's not going to change, even if they are doing well themselves. It says here, there's only a small window in which the older men are more mature applies. Women have long since touted that older men are more attractive because they're more mature. In what way exactly? Ooh, ouch. Because I am not finding a lot of men in my age range, 5 years older, 5 years younger, that exhibit high emotional maturity. In fact, most men I've met are some form of Peter Pan syndrome. Well, dig into the emotional maturity thing. I'd like to know what, in her view, is emotional maturity. Does it mean pouring out your feelings? Does it mean crying? Does it mean being sensitive? Because if that's the case, this kind of tells me maybe what she's attracted to, and maybe perhaps what she's like. I don't know anything about her. I don't know what she looks like. I don't know who she is, any of that stuff, and I don't care. But what I'm basing my kind of assumptions as to probably maybe what she's like, the vibe she sends out, the type of dude she likes, what they see in her, probably is pretty accurate. She says, so do you remember when a romance between an older woman and a younger man seemed so absurd that they made an entire movie about the idea? Here's to you, Mrs. Robinson. The term cougar came around 2001 as a means to call attention to a woman in their 40s dating men in their 20s. I never heard this term used in a way that was flattering to any woman. I also don't know a lot of women who appreciate the term. It mocks women for doing something that men have been doing for ages without the same mockery. Yeah, men have been doing it for ages because that's just kind of how things develop. It developed on human nature. Men attracted to the young, beautiful, fertile women that can pump out babies, and the women attracted to the man that has status and resources that can provide and take care of them. Now, yes, things have changed that women can do extremely well for themselves, and that's cool. I do respect anybody, and I mean anybody that is on their grind doing well, but still, at the end of the day, you're not going to be human nature, no matter what movement tries to influence things through the media and TV and radio and movies and TV. I probably said that. You know my point. It says, I've fallen prey to the stigma attached to the double standard. I was always willing to build up my dating range, but rarely ever down. Part of that is finding the practice of men dating far younger women to be juvenile. Of course, my first husband is 7 years younger than me. 7 years younger. And so I apply that same perception to myself. I feared I would look foolish dating someone 10 years younger than me. Well, again, she's saying dating. Okay, it's one thing to date, it's another thing to be in a serious relationship. And by the way, I want to point to, I know I'm talking a lot here, guys, but this is an article where, we're talking about things going on here as opposed to me reading a story, so I'm going to interrupt a lot. I know I drive you all fucking crazy sometimes, but I got a lot to say on this issue. I've noticed that the type of guys that get in actual relationships with older women tend to be guys, like I said, that grew up in a household where mom ran the show, a lot of dominant, take charge women. So that's what they've been conditioned. Their dad was not very strong. He didn't run the show. These were guys more in touch with their feminine side, guys that were more sensitive, more emotional, okay? They also were guys that just in life in general were not leaders. They weren't the most masculine dudes. They may have some masculine qualities, but not the most masculine guys. And they liked their woman running the show. So it doesn't surprise me at all when I see these types of dudes with older women that, surprise, surprise, run the show. So, but again, you can get a lot of guys that may date an older woman, like particularly the young guys in their 20s, like I said, but it's different fooling around having some fun versus actually committing to be in a serious relationship or even going so far as to marry. Night and day difference. As the stigma falls away, more women are becoming open to the idea of dating a man 10 years younger than them, and younger men are here for it. A recent study showed that 81% of women would date someone 10 years younger and that 90% of men would date someone older. Cue music, damn it feels good to be a cougar. Again, date and hook up, not serious relationship. And again, who are these types of guys? You got to break that down. What does that mean for men who want to date younger women? It means that it's their turn for the clock to start ticking. If a significant number of women are no longer seeking them out, they will need to change their mind. I see some serious manipulation going on here. At the end of the day, there are plenty of women that are attracted to older men that have status, that have resources, that have money and all that, and like an older guy that leads. And generally, these are feminine women. And sadly, there's becoming less and less traditional feminine women out there, but there still are out there, and hopefully that will start to shift. But where did that all come from? The feminist movement. But to say that it's pretty much the days are over for men dating younger women, get the fuck out of here. That is, or being attracted to them, or women wanting the older guys, not going to happen. I smell a little bit of bitterness here. And I've known women that are in their 30s and 40s that are bitter when the guys date the younger gals. It pisses them off because they waited, they screwed around in many different ways and put things off, and then you can't be too surprised. If a guy who's 42 years old, and he does well for himself, he has resources, he's got status, he has his choices with women, and he can date a gal that's 27 and get in a relationship with her, assuming that she's mature and cool and all that, or a chick that's 42, who's he going to pick? I mean, come on here, really. Goes on, I'm sure there will be many men that will take up arms against everything I've just said, regardless of the fact that there's research to support what I'm saying. Well, if you dig into the research, you'll see pretty much what I'm talking about. I'm afraid men are just not ready for this change, because in order to keep at this point, their game needs to change, and that's hard. Insult. Frankly, it's about time for the idea of women only seeking men out for their money to slink away from the shadows. It's demeaning to us, and it's demeaning to men. I'm fully welcoming the concept of people entering into relationships with others based on character, values, kindness, and emotional connection. I mean, it's about damn time. Women hold high standards that go beyond wallets, in case you haven't heard. Yeah, in a perfect world, sure, values, standards, having a great connection, that should be the only thing that matters, but it doesn't work that way. It's not going to work that way with guys if she is 350 pounds and has hair like Chewbacca, okay? She's got to be, if she has all those other traits, good. But she's got to take care of her body. She's got to take care of her looks. Number one thing for us. And guess what? There are plenty of guys out there that are good men, that have values, and they can connect and a similar interest. But if they don't make a certain amount of money, they don't have a certain status, they're not going to get certain girls out there. Some will settle, but they'd always have their eye on the guy doing better, making more. It's not going to change. But if she's happy in her life, hey, great. That's all great for her and all that. And the guys that are into her, okay, fine. But to say that things are changing and that pretty much the days are numbered for guys that date younger women, blah, 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 not going to happen. It's completely unrealistic. Human nature doesn't change. You're not going to reprogram that at all. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And, guys, also, you come across a good article or story you'd like to share, or even a personal story, by all means, email me, strongsuccessfulmale@gmail.com. I'll definitely cover it down the road. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.